very loud. Welcome back, everyone. So we now have the pleasure to welcome Nicolas Westermann, Head of Product at Zattoo, who will be doing an interesting presentation on mastering the tech, how to reduce complexity in TV offering with operators tier on Android TV, Apple TV, and Smart TV. So I remind the attendees that you can drop your question on the chat box on the Swapcard platform. So Nicolas, you now have the hand for the presentation.
Thank you, Priscilla, for introducing. Welcome, everyone. Also from my side, quite strange to sit here in the home office where every one of you potentially is also at home watching this without having this direct feedback to the audience. So we will try to work this out and work this through. Today, we want to look into the mastering of the tech in complex TV offerings with operator tier, Android TV, Apple TV, and also Smart TV. We'll touch. First of all, a short introduction to Zattoo. What we do basically is we serve television and VOD as one of the largest technical ranges streaming providers in Europe. We also do have some of the US covered within our service. We have been around since 2005, already pioneering in video streaming since then. And we do serve today more than 3 million users with our own OTT brand, but also up to 30 different operators across Europe and the US with our TV platform offering, with a lot of content on that, even this year, Emmy awarded for technology and engineering. We are covering a lot of platforms and doing that, such as Apple TV, Android TV, Smart TVs, various ones from Samsung also over to Panasonic and LG soon. And we are basically also on fire and every device the user might want to have at home today. What we do in terms of end-to-end TV as a service is we provide the whole chain of content and building blocks of a TV service fully integrated and fully owned and created by ourselves with our 180 employees in Zurich and Berlin today. Talking about complexity in these environments, I'd like to start with a quote from Alan Kay. Alan Kay is a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and he's best known for pioneering in objective-oriented programming, and he's also a pioneer in windowing graphical user interfaces. And he said simple things should be simple, complex things should be possible. So everything what we want to achieve today should be at least possible. What we want to look into right now is to understand complexity not necessarily as something negative, but we want to be aware that it could turn into a struggle when it affects business KPIs, like your time to market, like reliability. It basically depends on the company's competencies, the culture and your business style, what you do operate in your company, whether you are able to tackle complexity alone and you are brave enough to go that way alone, or you want to incorporate a partner and do that jointly. Let's take an average operator TV service today. And we want to incorporate a couple hundred channels, SVOD archives, the goal to provide set-top boxes utilizing Android TV for operators and Apple TV. And what I created today is the map. The map is still a trademark pending, but I guess I basically covered all building blocks of an average TV service to also get an overview about the complexity of such a setup. So we do channel ingest via satellite or IP ranges. We want to have video processing, delivering all the created linear and catch-up assets we need to have in the apps on the service. We want all the formats for NetPVR, single copy or master copy, depending on the content rights. And we do have in the lower third the whole block of business logic, providing all the content distribution roles, access to the service, product packaging, and such more. The broadband of the device ranges we want to deliver as a multi-screen TV product here. And we want to look into an aggregator positioning as to gather all the content the user wants to have on his service and to position the operator brand in the center of the experience also from the user. Because we are taking about tech complexity, let's add also 1 or 2 partnerships to that because they also play a huge role in driving complexity around those offerings what we are looking into today. So we do have Netflix and Prime Video for content exchange. We do have Apple and Google for voice services and stuff like that we want to tackle in. And what we want to achieve to do today is also do work user-centric as we do it in, in the product disciplines at least everywhere. And we want to create simple experiences for the user that the user is able to understand that. Let's put the simplicity into focus because this is what users desire. Complex things should appear simple to serve. Also the joy of use for users, letting users easily understand your service, understand your user interface and love your product at the end. Especially they expect from the television where the immediate start of a channel after launch turned already into a native expectation. It's not a basic expectation anymore, it's native. So we want to look into that today from Peter Morville's view. Peter Morville was or is one of the legends in information architecture, and he created this user experience honeycomb I would like to use today to look into 3 areas. Let's assume the offering, what we do have right here, is already attractive. We do have content which provides value to the user. We have an overall product which works quite well. Then we want to look into 2 areas of complexity. The first thing is the findability. So how can we simplify the content discovery and find the content we do have in this whole ecosystem, what we're talking about today. For the areas where we would like to have the content, what we need to connect is we need to take a look where the content needs to be found by the user. So we are tackling or targeting here the Apple TV with its top shelf functionality. We want to tackle Google TV with their teasers. We want to incorporate also voice findability, accessibility through Google Assistant to Siri support. And the voice integrations need to access the metadata, the channel listing based on the user's product subscriptions. And it's not only your content which needs to be integrated. Afterwards, we also need to do that vice versa. We want to integrate partner content into our offering to also have the view from Netflix shows, for example, in your TV guide or in your own content discovery, depending on the marketing partnership requirements which are coming out of that. So to solve that, we need a mix of intelligent backend services and client intelligence. So let's take a look on our map again. We want to see the content business logic here publishing the metadata feeds on the basis of several rules. Some is like the content the user is able to watch because of his product, because of his license rights, the geolocation, wherever he's positioned, and which content is of course relevant to the user. So the whole complex of recommendations and personalization kicks also in here. What a backend needs to solve here then is to create those third-party feeds, which basically are exposed to partners like Google and Apple for catalog sharing, and also the client interfaces. We do have them on the right side in terms of listing, catalog, and search to ship this content also to the apps for further distribution. When we take the client side and look at the client, then we want to digest that as a simplified client anatomy. So the content and discovery exchange are the 2 layers which are in the app built in, which might be, as in our case, be different segments within the development. So the content discovery segment is responsible here for the display of content within the user face of your TV product, while the content exchange segment is able to push things through the app to the surrounding operating system. So if we have it in a more structured view here in Android TV, for example, the content exchange is part of the operator tier layer, which we knew as the custom launcher, so to say an intermediate layer between the experience and the operating system itself, incorporating and pushing information from the app to the operator tier layer, to the operating system and back. This can be something which is incorporated in the app, like an Apple TV, then this is part of the tvOS development. Or in Android TV, this can be a separate application. This is what we call the so-called custom launcher. You might have heard that already. It's everywhere when you're talking about Android TV, currently in various projects. So now we want to distribute across our backend the feeds to partners like Google, like the voice services for Assistant and for tvOS for Siri, and we do want to distribute the content over the tvOS application into the tvOS interface, or also the Samsung interface for the Samsung feeds. So the Apple TV operator tier layer is not only relevant for the discovery of the content, but it's also indispensable for Apple TV as a project and as a set-top box device. So if we check back on our simplicity map, we have the valued content now distributed and findable over our content discovery implementations, fed over the feeds to Google, to Apple, but also incorporated the feeds from Netflix into our system. So we can also just display that over the user interface and also to the operating system as such. And let's check on the accessibility next. Accessibility is one of the basic expectations, and this is with TV. We all know that it's flawless accessibility. So that has become a user's basic expectation. Turning on the TV results in the expectation of having live TV immediately shown up. TV is just running, even if the home screen gets more and more introduced by Apple, and also gets more and more introduced by Android and others. So TV should just work. It's simple as that. The entry of credentials in a TV screen, wherever some of you already had this experience lately, is still horrible. Also, tvOS with the remote has not really improved that if you're not using your iPhone device to bridge that basically. So what we see is that we would like to have a goal for accessibility to eliminate the login necessity. This is the second complex I would really like to look into today, to have a deeper understanding what can we do and how can we improve the complexity here also from the technical side. Let's take a short excursus investigating on tvOS as an operator tier, as this also might not be kind of common knowledge what we do have today. tvOS comes with a certain feature set. If you have this Apple TV agreement to use Apple TV as a set-top box, you would have to integrate universal search video services to have your content of your TV offering searchable within the Apple environment, be it as Siri when it comes to the live TV, live tune-in, or be it within the Apple app to have live content and VOD content visible and discoverable also in the Apple world, because Apple is also positioning themselves here as kind of an aggregator. The setup itself looks like that. In terms of an Apple TV as operator tier, the TV application of the selected vendor would be here pre-installed as application automatically during the setup process. And we do have the necessity of having single sign-on, which comes in Apple TV as a function which is called the TV provider login. TV provider login is during the setup of an Apple TV, you as a user, or the user needs to or is able to select a specific provider where he has his fixed access established, and this provider is then living in the settings of the tvOS device. So if you take a look into the Apple TV single sign-on context, we do have the TV provider login sitting in the settings, providing here an authentication based on IP or the serial number of the device. That depends on the question if Apple knows the serial number of the charge the operator has delivered or has gotten delivered, or if the user comes with his own device where the serial number is not detected or listed before the devices get shipped to users. So the operator TV app utilizes the OS authentication and to launch without an additional login. Therefore, we need to have a specific combination of technology around, which is a TV provider server, which needs to be served by the operator itself, or productized and hosted by a TV platform. And then this service offers the authentication context, which is basically an individual authentication mechanic between an operator and the Apple TV. This is the complex part in this setup, which needs to be hosted and served by the operator itself in combination with Apple. So let's recall the client anatomy structure we had before with the app interfaces with the operating system via the operator layer. And let's check on the map again where this all hits the backend. This is basically in the access part, the authentication procedure with its unique authentication context is something the operator needs to incorporate and to maintain continuously. And even if this approach in Apple TV is unique, there are other mechanics also on Android to reach a zero touch access, basically. So what we want to aim for here is the zero touch approach. So a cross-device touchless sign-in, what we want to do. So smart TV applications is Android TV operated here can use the authentication via login. This is the so-called remember me function. So the user enters the credentials once, and then the app remembers that. And with a second launch of the application, it's not requested to log in or to enter the credentials at least. We do have the serial number of a device, which we could utilize as authentication, or we do have the IP-based authentication in Apple TV with the SSO. In other projects, we can have it as a platform productization to be able to offer this also on other apps like the mobile client and the web client. But this is just possible if the device stays in the home network, of course, to be assigned to the respective IP address. So if it comes to the point, what we do have now, we were able to have a product which creates value, which offers content which is which is relevant for the user. We have seen the findability, how we can simplify the content discovery in operated tier environments. We do have access now also to the content, and we have an immediate access to TV for every user we want to serve with that. So we made a huge step on this ladder to fulfill the customer needs today. The remaining steps could be something for a next talk, or maybe also for a virtual coffee round for anyone who's interested to talk that through further. To simplify the complexity and also continuously maintain the deep knowledge of this environment, what we have seen here, we are working on. We at Zattoo, we structure our product development accordingly to this structure. We are working with focus ecosystem teams to directly address these ecosystems of Apple, all the partnerships around the ecosystems for operators also on Android and on Smart TV. And we do facilitate also the knowledge of certain domains when it comes to content or deep video knowledge. And we also tackle, of course, the question of analytics behind. If we take the time, and I think we still have a couple of minutes left, we could also check out on some of our customers, Switzerland and Air, who are both utilizing Apple TV as their main set-top box, accompanied by also web access and mobile access on tablets and smartphones in Apple and Android environment. And we do see Android TV for operators with 1&1, one of the largest German customers who really have a comprehensive offering on even a legacy Linux device, also covering Android TV for operators, various smart TVs and other applications. And basically, I want to close with the words from Alan Kay. Again, he also had a different second quote, which is the best way to predict the future is to invent it. And this is the way we want to move forward in terms of upcoming challenges, to build them into the platform and then to support them. Now, I'm happy to take some of the questions. Priscilla, one is the question, which are the constraints to be streamed in Spain? So basically, this is probably something which is related to law and content rights. Otherwise, technically, I don't see any constraints in streaming in Spain here. So there's no other question, and we can potentially leave it with that today. Thank you for listening and enjoy the other talks.
Thank you very much, Nicolas. Bye.